Hi, I'm Ross Benjamin reporting for the Offshore Gaming Association. That's OSGA.com, your number one source for information on the offshore sportsbook industry. That's OSGA.com. It's time for another edition of my NFL Underdog Picks of the Week. And just reminding you, I am taping currently on Tuesday, the 18th of December. All three of these games will take place on Sunday, the 23rd of December. So, depending on when you view this video, these lines are certainly subject to change. And if you've been viewing these NFL Underdog Picks videos the last 2 weeks and you followed my selections, well, congratulations, because we've gone 5-1 the last 2 weeks with our NFL Underdog Picks. Let's keep the winning going, starting with the New York Giants at Indianapolis game on Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern Time at the in Indianapolis. And currently, as we speak, 5 Dimes has the Giants as a substantial 10.5-point underdog. Big game for Indianapolis. They're right now they're sitting at 7-7. They're one game behind the Baltimore Ravens for the final wild card spot in the AFC, and they're also tied with Tennessee and Miami, at 7-7. So just because a team needs the game more doesn't necessarily mean they're an automatic win or cover, as we've seen in years past and we've seen recently. Having said that, the Colts are coming off a 23-0 home win over the Dallas Cowboys. Not so much shocking how they won that game, but the manner of which they did so, blanking the Cowboys, who had came in riding a 5-game winning streak. And the Colts were able to cover that game as a 3-point home favorite. Now, having said that, it's been since November 30th of 2014 that Indianapolis has gone back-to-back weeks covering as a home favorite. So, again, it hasn't happened for over 4 years now to date, and you never know if it will happen, but the likelihood, in my opinion, is that's not going to occur, especially when you consider the fact the New York Giants, despite coming off a 17-0 disappointing home loss against Tennessee last week, this is a Giants team that's gone 5-0 against the spread in their last 5 games as an away underdog, and all of those occurred this season. So, and again, here's an important side note as well. You want to know how rare this situation is? Indianapolis coming off a shutout win, the Giants coming off a shutout loss. It's only the 7th time since 1980 that one team is coming off a shutout win and the other team they're facing is coming off a shutout loss. So that's how rare a situation this is, just in case you're wondering. And I also have a very good NFL betting angle on this game. Anytime you have a non-division away underdog of 11 points or less and they're coming off a home shutout loss, they've gone 24-4 against the spread, and that's since 1993. That's a pretty good win percentage, folks, of just about 86%. So we're going to go with the New York Giants here, plus the 10.5 over Indianapolis. The next game, the Chicago Bears, travel to San Francisco to take on the 49ers. That'll be a 4:05 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Sunday. Currently, as we speak, the San Francisco 49ers are a 4.5-point home underdog, according to Bookmaker. Good situation here for San Francisco. And I know there's a big disparity in records here. Chicago 10-4. And San Francisco 4-10. But follow me with this, folks. The Bears are coming off a home win over their arch rival Green Bay Packers last week. That snapped an 8-game losing streak at Soldier Field against Green Bay. Additionally, the Chicago Bears, with that win, clinched the NFC North. And raise your hand if anybody thought the Bears would clinch the NFC North by after week 15. Now, put it down because you're a lawyer. So, again, what my point is here, I would find it very difficult to imagine that Chicago can match the intensity or the focus they had last week against Green Bay. And it's just human nature that teams in this situation more times than not are in for a letdown. On the other side of the coin, the San Francisco 49ers, I mentioned their 4 and 10 record. 2 weeks ago they were 2 and 10. Since that time, they've come off back-to-back home wins and they were an underdog on both occasions, beating the Denver Broncos and the Seattle Seahawks last week. So this is a San Francisco team that's familiar with this role. As I could say again, last 2 weeks, home underdog straight up wins against Denver and Seattle. I think the 49ers will be up for the challenge here. Also, keep this in mind. Since Kyle Shanahan took over as head coach of the 49ers last year, in the last 4 weeks of the regular season to date, the 49ers have gone a perfect 6-0 straight up. Give me the 49ers here, plus the 4.5 at home against Chicago. And then the final game we're going to take a look at is the Kansas City Chiefs traveling to the Great Northwest to take on the Seattle Seahawks. 8:20 p.m. Eastern Time kickoff on Sunday night, nationally televised game on NBC. Look, here's a big thing right here, right off the bat. Since January 2nd of 2011, Seattle has gone 7-0 straight up in ATS as a home underdog of between 2 and 5.5 points. And right now, as we speak, the Seahawks are a 2.5 point underdog across the offshore sportsbook landscape. So that's a very, very strong trend. Normally I don't pay attention to team trends that much, only if they make sense. This is a recent trend. We're going back 7 years. We all know that Seattle historically has been very good at home, albeit that hasn't been quite the case over the last couple seasons. But as a home underdog in this point spread parameter, they're certainly looking very good in this spot. Now, anytime you have a home underdog with a winning record, any home underdog, any NFL home underdog, let me clarify, with a winning record, and they're playing in the last 4 weeks of the regular season, they've been an extremely profitable play over the years. In fact, if they're an underdog of 5.5 or less, and they're facing a non-division opponent, they improved to 21-6 against the spread since 1980. And if that foe is also coming off a loss like Kansas City is, those teams, those home underdogs, they improved to 6-0 straight up in ATS. Kansas City, on the other hand, this is a team that's gone 0-3 straight up in ATS in their last 3 games as an away favorite of 10 or less, and they're coming off a straight up loss. The Kansas City defense, in my opinion, is not playoff caliber by any stretch. The possible exception may be their defensive front. Other than that, their linebackers and their secondary extremely vulnerable. They give up a lot of points, and to lay points on the road right now with this Kansas City team, the way they've looked defensively all year long, they can't continue to win these games 40-35, 38-31. And again, I like Seattle here as a home underdog. I'm going to take the Seahawks plus the 2.5 at home over Kansas City. And I would suggest, folks, pay the extra juice and buy it up to 3. That's not a sign of weakness. It's just smart to get on that key number of 3, that if you look through the years, games that fall on 3, 7, and 10 are the most prevalent and the most have occurred than any other number. So Seattle plus 2.5 against Kansas City, buy it up to 3 if you can. Repeating again, we're going to take the New York Giants plus 10.5 at Indianapolis. We're going to take the San Francisco 49ers plus 4.5 against the Chicago Bears, San Francisco at home. And then we're also going to take the Seattle Seahawks as a 2.5 point underdog at home against Kansas City. Again, I suggest buying that up to 3. You can also go to my website, rbwins.com. Folks, the last 2 Sundays in the NFL, my paid selections have gone 10-2 against the spread. That's rbwins.com, where you pay a little to make a lot. Until the next time, good luck with all your picks.